Hi, I'm Al West, and welcome to Something to Talk About. We have figured out a way to get out of the studio. We are taking the show on the road. Today, we're over in Nash County with Frank Aycock. He is a awesome cabinet maker. We met Frank just a few weeks ago down at the Rocky Mount Craft Festival. And we were just amazed by some of the beautiful work he had down there. So we asked him, could we come into his shop and have him show us around? Come on over, Frank. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started this by going to craft shows 25 years ago, and went, I reckon, 10 years or so to craft shows, and doing it in my backyard and working full-time at Kmart. I was an electronics manager there at Kmart. And finally, about 1990, I decided I had to do one or the other, so I decided I would do woodwork. So I left Kmart and started doing this full-time.
This is awesome. I recall seeing some of the chairs that you had made, and I'm looking at a very beautiful bed back through that way. I see beautiful cabinet work all over. Do you, everything you do it right here in this shop? Everything
I do. I don't buy any pieces and put them together. If I make a Queen Anne leg, I make the Queen Anne leg. If I have a bed that I turn that on myself on a lathe.
It's one of the things that's amazing to me. A friend of mine over in Tarboro told me once that, and I guess it's something I'd always known but never heard it put in this perspective. Everything in the world comes from dirt. But the wood here came from the tree that came out of the dirt. So everything is everything that we have. If you there's wood in your house somewhere, wood in the way your house is constructed, and inside the furniture there's wood.
Sure, and it's a renewable resource. So we can't use it as long as they keep renewing it as fast as we use it, and we do. The United States is one of the few countries that have renewable forest. In other words, what we cut down, we replant usually 2 or 3 times as much as we cut down. And that's one reason we have a big forest industry here, because we continue to renew the forest as we use it.
I've noticed, speaking of that, I've noticed out on a highway you can be riding, you can see rows and rows of pine trees. Is that, they've replanted those?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you see a lot of land that's being cut over and just left to reseed itself. And over a period of years, the forest will come back. It'll reseed itself.
Well, that's amazing. Now, what kind of, I notice I see dark brown, light brown, there's tan, this one is two-tone. Obviously, there's different types of woods and different types of stains.
Well, you usually are working with a customer that wants something to match what he's got. And when that happens, I usually try to make sure what kind of wood I'm dealing with. In other words, if they want to match a mahogany bed to a mahogany bedroom suite, you want to make it out of mahogany. And then you, after you make the wood that you want to use, then you go to whatever color stain that they put on it. And on a commercial basis, I use probably 5 different color stains. And that covers just about 90% of everything that anybody wants. If they look at mahogany, you know, they're looking at brown mahogany. If they're looking at cherry, it's usually got a little red tone to it, you know. So that kind of dictates what color you put on a piece of furniture.
Okay. Now, I notice you got a project right over here that we're going to show a little tied up here. Tell me about the broken window syndrome over here.
Well, a friend of mine, David Weaver, does renew old buildings, and he's currently working on downtown Rocky Mount at Davis Furniture Store, and he is redoing all the window frames and all the windows. The windows were closed up probably 25 years ago, and they want opening them up now and making the windows look like they did 100 years ago. And he wants me, or I do, the frames for the windows. He brings me the window sashes, and I rebuild them or outright build new ones if I have to match what's already in the buildings.
So you take them in looking kind of dilapidated like that, and
usually they're rotty either at the bottom or at the top. I replace that. take the glass out, replace the broken glass if it's broken, and repaint and reglaze the window. Then he puts it back in.
And these are the old-fashioned windows with the pull cord and the heavy weight on it?
Yes, I believe these windows were probably made in Rocky Mount by Carolina builder here in Rocky Mount. They were here for years and years, and they had a mill shop, and I kind of feel like these windows were made there. And they're about a ½ inch bigger than what you can find in a standard window. In other words, go into Lowe's, these windows are about a ½ inch bigger than what Lowe's sells.
Well, that's fascinating there. Now tell me about this beautiful piece of furniture you have over here.
Well, this piece right here was brought to me by a customer, and it was in her family for a number of years, and it needed a little bit of TLC. The legs were loose on it. We had to tighten up the legs. The finish had some damage on the finish that we renewed and did not refinish. I try not to refinish if possible, and we were able to clean that stain off the front door and refit the drawers and put the tops back on it, and I think she'll be real pleased with it.
Now, is it true that if you refinish something that sometimes you can lose value?
Well, you can, and it's two different ways of looking at it. Some people think that if you refinish a piece of furniture that it loses some of its value. If you've got a piece by a known cabinet maker that may be 200 years old, I wouldn't suggest refinishing it. If you got a piece that was been in your family, say 100 years, and the finish is in terrible shape, you want to refinish that piece so you can use it. You're not going to sell it. It's going to be in your family for another 100 years, and you don't want to go and use something that, you're making it usable, right, and where it wouldn't be usable. But if the finish is good, it's more of a repair, patch, that type of situation when you're dealing with antiques, older pieces.
This is a beautiful piece, and I see that it has some fancy joints on the side. What are these joints called?
They're the dovetail joints. The cabinet on this piece here is dovetailed, top and bottom, and at the back, and they're hand dovetailed.
And the darkness in these doors, is that intentional, or how does that get in there?
Natural finish is poplar, and poplar has dark streaks running into it. Strangely enough, when that wood was first cut, those dark streaks were green. Wow. And when the finish was put on it, that's what happens. It turns darker. And some cabinet maker decided that he wanted to accent that type wood in the front door. So that's the reason it's got those dark sections in it.
It certainly makes a beautiful finish. Now, we've got another piece here that you were telling me earlier about. Tell us about this piece. It's pretty.
This piece here I made probably 20 years ago. It's a copy from a ladies' powder table at Trine's Palace, and it needs refinishing at the moment, which is what I'm going to do. It's been carried to craft shows and kind of beat up and a little ragged now, so I'm going to refinish that.
It looks kind of Victorian or something.
Queen Anne Queen Anne powder desk would be what you would call it.
Okay, and now let's take a look back here. You've got some one piece is a special piece here that we talked about earlier. Tell us what you can about this piece.
This piece here is a ball and claw foot for a wingback chair, and a lady in Morehead City called me and wanted to know if I could make one. I told her yes, I could, and we arrived at a price. And when I hung up, I turned around to my friend. I said, "Now, how are we going to make this?" Because